Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 16 millimeter film crew. I'm Cindy.
And I'm Dale.
You can watch us on YouTube. You can like and comment on our YouTube videos and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can listen to us everywhere podcasts are found at 16 millimeter film crew podcast. And you can visit us on our website at www.16millimeterfilmcrew.com. This week, we watched Dune Prophecy. Set 10,000 years before the events of Dune, the series follows sisters Valia and Tula Harkonnen as they combat forces that threaten the future of humanity and establish the fabled sect known as the Bene Gesserit. This show stars Emily Watson, Olivia Williams, Travis Fimmel, Jodie May, Mark Strong, and Sarah Sophie Bolsignia. So, Dale, thoughts about episode one?
It's a slow burn. It really is a slow burn. As usual with uh episodic stuff like this. So I think it's based on the first couple chapters of the first book, if I remember correctly, reading about it. Um, I think when whether the current direction Hollywood is in, where they're looking for IPs that are like marketable and profitable and people are interested, I like this version of it. Where you see with Matt Reeves with the Batman, he did the Penguin. If you're gonna do a IP, you should target all areas and have people really invested in your stuff. You saw Marvel's initial attempt with it; they kind of didn't do it well, and they cleaned up later on. With Falcon and Winter Soldier and stuff like that, as far as their TV stuff, laying groundwork and stuff for their film stuff, all within the same IP. So it's a good concept, and when you execute it like this. It's done well. And it's also doing stuff like that is a good use of reusing film assets and design ideas when you're doing a movie and you move it to the show. So yeah, I enjoyed it, but yeah, it is a very plotting because you're just getting the background knowledge of everybody who's kind of plotting behind the scenes and the Bene Gesserit themselves.
Your camera went out.
It went
Um,
on again. Sorry.
I didn't want to interrupt you while you were talking.
No, you're good. Just give me a little point and I got you.
Oh,
Oh
okay,
yeah.
I'll do a little of
Cool. Yeah.
that. Yeah. Okay, there you
It
go.
is what it is.
Um, yeah, so I was excited about the show mainly because I love Dune. I've read three out of the six main books. So these books, or what's being adapted, is not from the actual main six. It's from the prequel books that were published after the main six came out. It's kind of complicated. Basically, I watched like a Nerdist video where they broke down like everything I needed to know about this. Um, so I was like, thank you, Nerdist, for putting in the work because I really didn't know like anything about this particular subject or this particular section of the history and or the lore of Dune. But I was really excited because the Bene Gesserit in the movies are always really interesting. Lady Jessica, who is a Bene Gesserit in the books, is the best character in the books. So I was really excited about this. And I love the idea. One, I think Dune is works as television because there's so much stuff to cover. So I think that it's a really good format for it. But two, like Penguin or House of the Dragon, like it makes sense to have a show that does link to the movies or to like the main thing that have come to know, but can break it down a piece of the history and kind of flesh it out in a better way because
Oh.
it'll probably get glossed over in the film. So I think it was really cool to do that. And like you said, have the same design aspects and like the world feels exactly the same. Like this does feel like a what is it? A
Subsidiary?
subsidy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that word, thanks. Um, of Dune. Like it's basically the same thing. It's just way in the past, 10,000 years before the main events. So I'm a little worried that they'll try to link it with the films, like what's canon in the film right now, just because it's like there's so much time elapsed. It kind of seems like let's not do that. Like we could have little hints to it, but I think overall, I we should kind of separate it because I think House of the Dragon does that too, where it's going a little too into the future, and it's like we're not anywhere close to that yet. So let's just focus on what's happening right now.
Yeah.
And in that way, it was giving me House of the Dragon vibes heavy. Like, and mainly because both of the shows deal with prophecy versus history. Like, the history is not really, it's like if a story's been told over and over again, things get lost in the details. History isn't like an exact record. It's certain people's perspective of like what happened. So there's other perspectives that get left out and things get shifted around. So I really like the idea of like focusing on the prophecy of like what this stuff is versus like historical accuracy within the world or how people down the line have perceived it to be, which is a really cool idea. So those shows were giving me kind of the same vibes, more than like the Penguin.
Hmm.
It was more just I feel like because these two shows cover the same topics a little bit more. You get like little glimpses into the future. It's not supernatural, but it's like it's giving a little bit of that. So, um, I really enjoyed it because I just love the world. I feel like this show is for like if you're like a Dune nerd, like you're really gonna be into it
Yeah.
because it is a slow burn. Like I don't know in terms of like action or whatever, like if we're even gonna really get much of that.
Yeah.
Maybe like it's not gonna give the same movie vibes where it's like big action pieces. I don't think that that's happening, at least not in this season. Don't know, but maybe. I just feel like just because episode one was just such an exposition dump, and because I had already seen the Nerdist video, it was kind of like a rerun of that, where I'm like, yes, I do know this now.
Mm.
But obviously, not everyone who's watching the show was gonna go see that YouTube video. But I I do like it. I think the actors are fantastic. The casting for the younger actors with the older actors, perfect.
Mm.
Look amazing. But I think all the actors are really great. So I'm excited to see their performances and even the direction that are going right now. I'm like, I'm interested. Like it's not, I think with the Penguin, that first scene is like immediate hook. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, you are invested in the world immediately.
Yeah.
Like, you know that there's going to be chaos and mess. Like and you're here for it. It didn't grip me that same in the same way as the Penguin did, but I think by the end I was like, yeah, I'm in for the ride. I'm in to see like what's gonna happen because what the hell did we just witness here? So, um, yeah, that's my initial thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, the Penguin part of the hook is it's a character you know. What the hook with this is, oh, what led to the situation. Like, I think what I like about the show so far is it shows not only the hunger for power that the Bene Gesserit have, that we saw in the movies, with Lady Jessica and her kind of being chosen to be Leto's wife in a way. But also you see the seeds of how House Harkonnen, in the first movie, how they've have hunger for power, where the women are now, the women take the lead in the Bene Gesserit, and that you see how what we get end up in the movie, the actual male line of the family leading the charge, and the woman behind the scenes kind of corrupting the Bene Gesserit and taking it over. You kind of see what leads to the conflict we get in the movie. I'm interested in how, what happens, with the combat trainer who's an Atreides.
Hmm.
I want to see how that leads down to, Paul and Leo and all that family line right there. I'm interested in that. Um, I did love the soldier dude who comes back. I
Yeah.
think Travis Fennel.
Hmm.
Um, Once I saw him, I was like, "Oh shit, he's gonna fuck shit up." Watching him in Vikings and stuff, I was like, once he showed up in the castle and the demeanor and swagger he had when he's supposed to be a soldier, but knowing the kind of settings, like he was acting like a bit sort of how just Moa was with Duncan Idaho, kind of suave and kind of cool, but with his character, there's a coolness there, but it also comes up as somewhat sinister as he's sauntering into the throne room. I was like, there's something there underneath that he's leading up to, which we got the reveal at the end, with the young prince, which I feel bad for him because he's just a child,
Yeah.
and being thrust into. But in history, that's what happened. Usually, young male heir is married to much older female princesses and stuff. Just they could sire children longer and sooner. So but yeah, I feel bad for him. He didn't need to die. My man just wanted to play with his toy mechanical lizard, bro, and everybody freaked out at him. Poor kid. That's not fun.
Yeah. Crispy. 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 Yeah. It yeah, he was giving me Jason Momoa vibes. Maybe it's the beard
Yeah.
and the hair. I don't know why, but like I did he is an interesting character already, mainly because like he has beef with the Bene Gesserit, like he does not like them.
Mhm.
And those are our main girlies that we're focusing on. So it's gonna be kind of a mess. The interesting thing is that like we already know certain things. Like they're gonna be in power for a while. I think the last Dune movie is where that power gets severed because
Mhm.
Paul now takes on the dominant role as the Kwisatz Haderach. Is that it?
The chosen one. Yeah.
Yeah, that the chosen one, the Messiah in this world.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of where the Bene Gesserit, that they still exist, but like it's a very different, like in the third book, it's a very different way in which they are like a part of this system. They kind of come back later, but no spoilies for the books.
Spoilers.
Um, no spoilies for the book. But yeah, so we know that they're gonna be in power for a long time up until that point, obviously 10,000 plus more years, but there is going to be some stuff that happens in between there. And I think someone said that it is Valia who kind of turns the Harkonnens into a family that is really cruel and corrupt.
Yeah.
Like because the Harkonnen that we see at the when they have there's an engagement party that all of the great houses attend, and there is a Harkonnen there who is the head of the house, who's just is like chilling. He's not like anything that we've seen in the films. So it seems like Valia, because she is a Harkonnen, is gonna weave her way in making that house end up being some kind of mess. And she's already a very interesting character because she doesn't, in terms of like morals and like ethics about and or like caring about anyone else, it doesn't seem like that is her objective.
Yeah.
She seems very like trying to not be subjective and trying to be like very I don't know, kind of just straight down the middle of like this is how I'm going to operate. If you want to be a Bene Gesserit, you just gotta get with the program. And if you're not with the program, as I see fit, it's like you're kind of not going to be a part of this order. So I liked her and her sister. I like the contrast of like the sister Tula is like very caring and like wants to take care of the girls, and she's just like, we're here to serve one mission. Like that's what here to do, get with the program or get out. Like
Yeah.
so their dynamic is really interesting. And I really like those two characters. I'm actually excited to see like how that continues to develop and like because now Travis, he's in the equation, so something's gonna happen. Things have
Yeah.
already happened. They've already lost a sister to whatever he's done. So it's very interesting so far. So I really do like that. And I like that the women and like because it's the same thing in the books. Like Paul is important, but it's really the women around him who end up shaping the story and end up shaping how things go. So like I love that the Bene Gesserit, there's a scene where Mark Strong's character, he is the king, basically, and the emperor. and he's having the negotiation with the other house leader who is going to, trying to marry his son off to his daughter. And it's actually the Bene Gesserits who are negotiating in the background with their little sign
Sign
language.
language, yeah.
Like they're the ones who are doing the negotiations, not these two guys.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that, like, even in the society where, I guess like the women are very supposed to be like seen, not heard, you know. It's a futuristic thing, but it has the same traditional principles. Like they are the ones who are in power,
Yeah.
and that these women in the sisterhood are like actually shaping the decisions that are being made throughout this entire kind of imperium, the entire space universe. So
Yeah.
it's like that's always been cool. It's one of the things I loved about the books, but in this specifically, you have this kind of alpha male who is like trying to sacrifice himself to the worm and like stepping in, trying to take some power for himself, trying to use the emperor to kind of get what he wants, and he's doing all of these things to further his agenda, whatever that agenda is, and he's butting up against this order of women who really do have the power in the society. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of what happens. I like that they're talking about kind of topical things without it being too preachy or whatever. It's like to me, it's not understated, but it's not like the main focus. It's just like this is what the world
Yeah.
is.
Accept
So
it and move along.
yeah,
Yeah.
accept it and move on, which I like.
I do like the fact they do like I think what Dune does better than most works of fiction and sci-fi is they put the women in the forefront in roles of prominence. They're the symbols of power in the universe, secretly pulling the strings, like you mentioned before, with the negotiation between Mark Strong's character and the other Duke. He's apprehensive. It's like, oh, I don't. Why do you need to get involved in my royal family? Why do you need a special wing in the castle? It's not necessary. And they're like, yeah, they're talking, and she says, oh, yeah, the Duke aspires to control
Mm,
Arrakis. And I guess the other Ben and Gesserit's sister communicates to the other one, letting her know, who then communicates to the Emperor, who's already. You see the Emperor dealing with a lot of stuff, being forced to marry off his daughter to strengthen their army. His daughter also has a hunger for power as well, because she's like, the kid's 9. I'm gonna be in power for about 10 years,
hmm
until he's able to make decisions. And if I finesse it right, I could be in power forever, you know, and the mother is like strictly like, this is wrong. Why are you marrying off our daughter? If you really want love, the Atreides guy, you can marry him. He's like, no, I want power. So you see, it's really highlighting the passion of power that women have that we really don't get to be seen in traditional media, especially considering in modern depictions of women hungering for power, you know, they usually viewed in very derogatory terms. At
hmm
least this time there is a with Dune, there's always an ebb and flow. You also get the perversion of the search for power and also the opposite one where I'm looking for power for, you know, different positive reasons. So yeah.
Yeah. And I think that showing ambition is like a cool thing, especially
Yeah.
when it comes to women. It's like I think that's kind of cool. I think at the end of the day, the pursuit of like this kind of insane, all-consuming power it has the same effects whether you're a man or a
Yeah.
woman. It ends up kind of eating you up a little bit. Like, for example, Valia, the thing that she did in order to become the mother,
Yeah.
like
Killing her friend, controlling her with her voice. Yeah.
like that's gonna come back. That is
Hmm.
gonna come back. And she already knows it too. Like she kind of already knows that like she is going to pay for what she's done.
Yeah.
Um, and I think with her, with the princess, with anyone who is trying to like thinking that, okay, this is the way that I want things to go for my future, and I will do whatever it takes in order to get there, there's always going to be consequences.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's kind of one of the lessons in Dune. Paul learns it. These girls are gonna learn it. Jessica definitely learns it. In the books, like she thinks that she has things on lock, and then everything just goes tits up. Like so, it's it's the same thing, which is but it's always interesting. Like it's always really interesting to um look at and to see a story kind of being formed around that. Especially because women, like you said, like when they're trying to be ambitious, it's always looked at in a really weird light. Like you're either really ambitious and career driven and like you have no feelings and you don't care, which I think they're trying to like set that up, or they at least put that forward in terms of values character, but I do think she does care about a lot of things. I just think that like I think what she cares about is people. She cares generally about like bettering the Imperium, but how she goes about it feels a little cold-hearted. So it's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. I love what the hell. I'll figure this out anyway. I'm gonna keep going. Yeah, no, I think it's interesting as well. Like I love Mark Strong's character. You know, he plays good. He's always given good performances in his roles. You know, and I think
Hmm.
this is one of the few times you actually get him to see he's given the opportunity to be a leading man. In it, he's usually very playing very secondary roles, but this time he's just like I wouldn't say protagonist, maybe, probably as the emperor, you know, how this conflict largely affects him and his actions. Usually, in a lot of movies, he's taking a very secondary role to a main character in a way, but this time he's a part of the main core ensemble. So I'm prepared for, you know, Mark Strong is known for giving very good soliloquies and, you know, speeches. He's a wonderful orator as an actor. You know, you give him a speech, he's gonna nail it. So I'm waiting for that, you know, that key seminal Mark Strong moment, like, damn, this dude good. You know, so I can't wait. I'm also interested in Sister Jen, the other Bene Gesserit trainee who kind of looks like Bella Ramsey, and how she's really
Is that the one who's like kind of
shifty. The one who was like,
snarky
yeah, the
and
one
she's
who
a
was like, yeah,
little,
my parents, I killed my parents
oh,
and I killed the
okay.
man. And she's kind
Hmm.
of like, I want to see, I feel like she's gonna throw a cog into a lot of the problems that Bene Gesserits have based on her
Mm.
demeanor. Because, like I said, I see that ambition for power from her as well. So I'm interested in how, you know, that goes with her character. But yeah,
Yeah, me too. All of the trainees are interesting to me. Like I kind of
yeah,
want to see what happens with them and their relationship with the Reverend Mother.
yeah,
But yeah, I think all the actors in this are really, really good.
yeah,
Mark Strong is booked and busy. He was just in The Penguin. Like
yeah,
he is playing every single character, and I love that for him.
yeah,
Um, but I love Emily Watson. She's such a great actress.
yeah,
So her and Olivia Williams, who I've seen in like a billion things, like their combination is going to be really interesting. I really like how they play off of one another already. So yeah, I listen, I'm sad. Like I'm invested in this world enough to be like, okay, I'll take it slow with you guys. Like I'm okay with like waiting it out a little bit. You don't
yeah,
have to give me all the big moments. Like I'm fine with it because I'm already invested. I feel like if you're not really, like maybe you just watch the movies and then you were like, oh, the show's coming on. Like, let me watch the show. It might not hit the same for you. I don't know. I'm interested to see like how other people who haven't read the books and like aren't really invested in the Dune universe, like how they feel about this series. But for me, I'm enjoying it
yeah.
so
Yeah,
far.
I'm enjoying it so far. I know season one, I mean episode one. I think
Mm,
this show is what six season episodes planned.
6 episodes, yeah.
So I think it's one a week. The last one will be December 22nd. So we're good. We're gonna be greeted with good quality television through the holidays. So that's a good thing. But
Yeah.
yeah. So. All
Yeah.
right, so moving on to some news. So of course the holiday season in full swing. You know, you got Thanksgiving coming up. You already got, you know, Mariah Carey advertising her Christmas concert tour coming to a city near you. Mariah, I just gave you a plug. I'm gonna need a cut of that money. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But yeah, so in the last couple of years, post-COVID industry has dealt with a lot of shifts. And they're hoping this, Thanksgiving could potentially be the return to things the way they used to be. We all know that's not going to be the case for the industry. Um, but this year since 2008, where we had Wreck-It Ralph and Fantastic Beasts be out in the middle of the month, you know, movie theaters, with people traveling, you got little kids in your household. Movie theaters saw a bit of a boom, Thanksgiving, Christmas, those around those time of years, and they're hoping we can get the same thing. With Gladiator 2, Wicked Part 1, and Moana 2, or they're hoping to, boost theaters post the numbers post COVID. Like for the last couple of years, Hollywood and industry has been looking for those numbers post COVID. I mean, people's viewing habits, watching habits, and spending habits at the movie theater has changed since COVID. The Wicked is on pace. Um, to open at like a 90 million. Moana 2 is probably looking at around a Thanksgiving frame to make 135 million. Predicted numbers for Gladiator 2 aren't kind of available yet, but they're hoping, over they're hoping it does well because, as far as on stage, I think Wicked has earned over $5 billion worldwide, and Moana is one of Disney's modern day success stories. So they're hoping, there's a big boom. I don't think that's going to happen. Um, Seeing as nobody kind of really asked for Moana 2. It felt like a really self-contained story that needed to be continued. And as far as, Wicked, I see a lot of people online trying to push that Wicked and Gladiator are much in the same vein as Barbie. And Barbie and Oppenheimer. And the reason why Barbie and Oppenheimer was such a big box office draw is the marketing behind Barbie was like top notch. Like from top to bottom, there was synergy between Hasbro and the production company and Mattel and everybody was involved pushing this movie. Whereas Wicked is banking on theater fans. We've spoken on this podcast before about the American viewing audience and musicals. You don't really like musicals unless it's a Disney movie. Um, so yeah, I don't think the numbers that they're hoping for Wicked will make as much that it will, especially because they're also considering this to be Wicked Part 1. So we'll see how that goes. I don't have good expectations for Wicked drawing that much money in though. So
I did not know that Moana 2 was a thing till you said that. So
see,
that's probably my
marketing.
blind spot. Um, but it's a family movie, so people will definitely come out for it. Wicked's marketing, although it hasn't been as like seamless and pristine as Barbie's, there has been so much mess and controversy that has surrounded this movie that I think people are gonna go see it. Like,
Yeah,
honestly, if it wasn't like a musical, like if they just wanted to do like a straight adaptation of like the book, I would go see it because there's so much mess that has surrounded this particular film, from the porn Barbie dolls to Ariana Grande having an affair with the guy on set. Like, there's just so much going on with this film, from pre-production, production to post and to the rollout. Like, people are gonna go see this movie. Like, and
mhm.
and you have Ariana Grande, who's like one of the most successful, popular people in our society today. Um, and I think like you're saying, the theater fans are very invested in seeing this movie as well. So like, I think it'll definitely do numbers. Whether it maintains that as the weeks go on, that's a
Yeah,
different question.
yeah,
Because I feel like the fact that they hadn't been pushing that it's a musical really, so that's might catch some people off guard. It really shouldn't, because everyone knows that Wicked's a musical, but like just in case
yeah,
people don't know, like it might throw them off. The fact that it's only part one, that might throw them off. The fact that it's like over 2 hours, that might not
bro.
like motivate people to do it. So like as the weeks continue, I feel like we'll probably see some drop off a little bit.
Yeah,
Um, so I don't know, but I do think that it doesn't, I don't know, the Barbenheimer thing had such an organic kind of movement that like
yeah,
you wouldn't have been able to manufacture that, which is why it did so well. I think people trying to replicate it with the Gladiator Wicked thing because it's trying because they're trying hard to make something else happen. I don't think it'll have the same effect. To me, it kind of seems like you're either going to go see one or the other.
Yeah.
For most people, it's not like a combined experience like it was with Barbenheimer.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I do think this Thanksgiving weekend will probably do some numbers just because like you have films that people want to see in there. If they'll maintain it as the weeks go on, who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. In other news, we did not talk about Spider-Man, which is crazy. But oh my God, sorry. Yes, but Spider-Man 4 is happening.
Yeah.
So we didn't mention it, but Spider-Man 4 is happening.
I mean,
Um,
I think we did
yeah.
mention it during Tom Holland when he did his interview. We did mention how him talking about
Oh,
the difficulty
wow.
of trying to, steer the character in a certain direction, you know, but
Maybe we talked about it off pod.
probably,
Yeah, I think we probably
probably,
talked about it
probably.
just amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think the title, there's been titles that been thrown have been thrown around. Maybe one is confirmed. I haven't been super on this story,
Mhm.
but they are going to start filming next year and it's going to come out after Avengers Doomsday, so in 2026.
Hmm.
Um, I'm okay with this. I feel like I love Spider-Man. That's my favorite. That's my favorite comic book character, excuse me. And I've watched all of the movies from Toby to Andrew to Tom. So like I to Miles Morales, like those, that's a character that's very special to me. So I will always watch, like I'll always show up for it. I think the last one, I think the way it ended was pretty solid. It kind of gives Peter a fresh start in terms of like where we can take the character post Iron Man. But the way Tom was describing it in a interview, he said, the script definitely needed work,
Yeah.
and they were working on it, and that he was excited that it was going well. But he was saying that, when it comes to Marvel, your stories, like the individual stories, are just a small part of the bigger whole,
Mhm.
um, which can be positive sometimes, but I think recently it hasn't really been working that well because it's trying to serve this overarching purpose. And for a while, the purpose has been really messy. So there has been a lot of inconsistency between the individual films and the team up films. So his story has to fit into whatever bigger thing is happening in terms of Doomsday, in terms of Secret Wars. Like it has to fit into that. But I hope that it can sort of stand on its own. I think one of the issues people had with Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man is that Iron Man was such a huge component in that,
Yeah.
and they didn't like that. Um, and it would be nice to kind of see him do his own thing, independent of Avengers, all of that stuff. And then just come back for the team up movies. But I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Tom has spoken like he's said this many times. He is a Spider-Man fan himself. I think if this interview you're referencing, I think you're referencing. He also did mention about him being a lead actor and having to, use his cachet wisely with dictating on how the character goes and what happens to Spider-Man. Um, yeah, this kind of reminds me very much about how Robert Downey Jr. spoke of Iron Man 2. It was still good, but it wasn't what it could be, and they did the whole course correction. You had Spider-Man 3, well, not Spider-Man 3, Iron Man 3, which kind of is hit and miss. But yeah, it's he's trying to navigate a space as being a leading man in a franchise and doing the right thing, which is really hard because once the ball gets rolling at Marvel, you know, you can't really stop it. See how many reshoots they've done with Captain America, Brave New World. They've changed your
mhm.
logo type multiple times. They re-edited their trailer as well. This is the second version of trailer that we really got. And I think that's an overall problem with Marvel. Marvel is so beholden into how everything connects that they kind of miss on what makes the individual characters special on their own. that kind of thing. Like my thing is if you're Marvel and you want to do that big team up thing, at least let the characters still be on their own, and you could end the third act for each character can connect into that team up moment. Like whatever is happening with the big bad, it affects whatever situation they're in, that kind of thing, like what they do in the comics, and that's how people team up. But I don't know. At least it's better than
Hmm.
watching Venom and Craven and Madam Web, where you're in the in the Amazon researching spiders before your mom dies. So hey, yeah,
Did you see that interview that she did when someone like repeated the line to her and she was like, "Yeah, what's wrong with that? That's what happened." It's
mm,
like, oh,
mm,
oh, Dakota, you
mm,
were not,
mm.
this is not the area that
She
you
took
needed to be
she
in.
took the check, and Cindy took a pay cut to do the other movie with Glenn Powell. So hey,
We all make choices.
yeah,
That's
Cindy.
what it
It
comes
was
down
like Cindy made the right one. So
to. Um, but yeah, so that is our news. I mean, you know what's weird is like most of the entertainment news is about politics right now.
I
So
mean, it's very interconnected. You have
it is.
a couple of theatrical characters. In most comic book and most movies, in this situation, the bad guy kind of wins. So I kind of see why Hollywood's so obsessed with what's happening. So
It was recently revealed that Conan O'Brien is going to host next year's Oscars. I think a lot of people were saying that John Mulaney should do it. Like there was a lot of names thrown around. I'm grateful that Jimmy Kimmel will not be doing it again. But
very grateful, very grateful.
Conan O'Brien, how do we feel about that?
Oh, Conan's an amazing guy. I mean, growing up watching him, I remember when I was younger, he was supposed to get the Tonight Show slot from Jay Leno, and Jay Leno was supposed to retire, and Jay Leno kind of said, "Fuck it," and started kept doing the show for years. And Conan was relegated to the side. But I always thought of those late night hosts who are also comedians. I always think to me, Conan O'Brien is the most naturally gifted and most entertaining out of them all. Like it's clearly obvious when you watch, like Conan, Seth Meyers, Jimmy Fallon, or even what's the other dude? Jimmy Kimmel. It's clear that Conan and Seth, to a degree, are the most naturally charismatic and engaging talk show hosts who can riff off a joke at command and also more engaged with their guests. Whereas I think Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon are really dependent on their writers. So, but yeah, I'm happy Conan is getting the spot. So yeah.
Yeah, I like Conan. Also grew up watching his show. Loved watching that. His show on was it TBS? Yeah,
Yeah.
that was it. Um, I I like Conan because I think that he isn't really like he knows how to be funny, but like he doesn't do too much where it's just like it's annoying.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
think he knows how to play to his own strength, and sometimes it's kind of loud and a little bit wacky, but. I also think that there's like an intelligence and like an earnestness to what he does where it kind of grounds maybe some of those bigger moments.
Yeah.
So I think he'll be good in this role as well. Like I think he'll be able to do
Mm.
the Oscars. Honestly, the monologues, I don't even think that you need that. The show is already so long as it is, but I feel like if we're gonna have that, at least have someone who's
Yeah.
funny and smart
Mm.
instead of like the other people who have been hosting it.
Yeah. Conan's comedy is it. He naturally draws himself into the spotlight. He doesn't steal it like Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel, where
Hmm.
I'm going to steal the spotlight. You're going to give it to me. Where Conan, it's like he draws you in so much. You're like, you know what? Take it. It's yours. It just happens organically. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what's going on right now. Let's talk about what we have been watching. Yeah.
Um, Other than catching up with copious amounts of sleep, I watched a movie called Center Stage. Came out in 2000, stars Zoe Saldana. It's a movie about a bunch of ballerinas in a ballet school. Typical mid 2000s, early 2000s teen movies with particular interests. You had Bring It On. You had Honey with Jessica Alba, where they latch on to what Oh, beautiful movie where
That was my movie.
they latch on to quirky things that teenagers like and this end up pumping them out. And it's usually only like the first ones that usually always get theatrical releases. Everybody else is straight to DVD. But it's a good movie. I think it was Zoe Saldana's first major role.
Mm.
And then she appeared in I think it was Pirates.
Crossroads.
Was she in Cross? I didn't see Cross.
She
I'm
was in
not.
Crossroads.
Okay, that's the
Yeah,
Britney
she
Spears
was.
movie.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I know she did. I know she was in Pirates of the Caribbean as well.
Yeah.
But this is like I think her debut role. So yeah, it's good to see a young Zoe Saldana, pre rhinoplasty Zoe Saldana, who I think looks better. But it is what it is. Hey, you'll notice it too when you watch that movie. I'm telling you. You'll see them. The Afro Latino features more on her. But that's another story for another day. But yeah,
Oh.
I'm enjoying it. I mean, it's typical 2000s teenage movie. Hey, we're best friends and we're competitive at this special school because we're all special and kind of thing. So yeah.
So this week I first watched George Harrison's Living in the Material World, which is like a docuseries that I think Martin Scorsese produced.
Hmm.
Yes. I may have talked about this before, but I was listening to this podcast with these random girls from Canada, and they were talking about the Beatles. And I realized that that was kind of a period of music history that I was not really familiar with, mainly because I think that what's known about the Beatles is like they just stole from Black people. So it kind of turned me off to like not really caring about like what they were doing. So I kind of blocked them out for most of my my understanding of music history. I said before, I'm a David Bowie girly. Like that is who I care about in terms of like people who came up around that era. Bob Dylan, I support it. But the Beatles was not interested. So it wasn't until I was listening to this podcast where I was like, oh, there's like so much stuff that went on between this group. Like even with Yoko Ono and all of that, like there's just a lot there. So I was like, they seem kind of interesting. And then I was like, wait, they made the songs that they've written and like sang is crazy because it's like, oh yeah, I didn't even know that that was one of their songs, but I've obviously heard this a million times. So that's interesting. They are obviously very influential and very talented, but it was just I just blocked them out. But I've keyed in. I've keyed in as of recently. And so I kind of wanted to know like, okay, what are these guys' stories? They're all a hot mess. Like these, I mean, R.I.P. John Lennon and George Harrison, but they're a mess just in general.
Yeah.
They're talented, but they are a hot mess. And I was watching George's docuseries, and he was like the underappreciated Beatle because it was about John Lennon and Paul McCartney. Like it was them two, and then Ringo was just in the back, happy to just be there.
I'm happy to play the drums, man.
Yeah. But George was like, it kind of seemed like from early stages that he didn't really want to be in the band. Like he was just kind of there. And he was incredibly talented, great guitarist, but like he was writing his own stuff. Like he kind of seemed like he just wanted to be a solo act, but he would just happened to be in the Beatles. So that was an interesting thing. And I love his album, his solo album, All Things Must Pass. Like I actually have listened to that and I'm like, this is great.
Hmm.
So I was interested in hearing his story. And he is a mess, but he seems like one of the more normal ones. Like he kind of not, I mean, normal's a relative term, but like seems somewhat adjusted
Hmm.
to like normal kind of life. Although he still had his stuff. A serial cheater, like
Hmm.
no woman should have ever like been with him seriously because he refused to be faithful. Like, but was on drugs, all the whole thing that they all did back in the 70s. But
All
he
your
did
favorite
make a
people were drunk and high.
and insane, yeah, truly, truly crazy. Made great work. I don't know what it was around that time where it's like everyone was on drugs and like not not keyed in, and then they made incredible art. I don't know what that means, but
The Coke was better back then, apparently. Yeah,
I guess that's what
cocaine
I
was better
guess that's
back
what it
then.
was. Like
So,
it must have been that. Um, but yeah, it was a really interesting documentary, and his like wife and his son was also involved in that. And yeah, he had a really crazy life. Like he was like attacked at his home and like overcame cancer and then got cancer again. Like it was just there was just so much that was going on. But I think that like out of all of the Beatles, I do like him the most.
yeah, yeah,
So I don't know what that means,
yeah.
but like because he is a mess. So it's like I don't know, but like maybe I should like Ringo because Ringo was just kind of chilling. But I think in terms of like his abilities to be like his writing abilities and his just I think he had like a vision of like how he wanted to like his solo career to go.
Mhm.
I really messed with it. So I was like, okay, I like you, George.
George is
I
like
know.
the Michelle of the group, which is sad.
Terrible.
But it's sad, but it's true. He's a key
Was he the
part who's
Michelle?
often ignored. Let's be honest, nobody really cares about Ringo. To be honest, outside of
Can he be
Octopus's
like the
Garden,
Kelly?
Kelly and Beyonce are Paul and John. You can't,
Oh, okay. I didn't
can't.
think about it that way.
Yeah, you know, Ringo can be Latoya. I don't know, or any
Yeah,
other.
maybe when there was a four, when there
Yeah,
was four of them,
yeah,
he would
or
have been the
Farrah,
Michelle.
or Farrah. I don't
I don't know,
know.
but he did his thing.
Yeah.
So that was a good docuseries. I think I want to watch Get Back, which is their what Peter Jackson had made that documentary. So I think
Mm.
I'm gonna watch that. But there's that. And then I watched Bad Sister season 2. There's only 2 episodes out, but it's about like a bunch of Irish sisters who are up to no good. And last season was really good. It's kind of like a murder mystery thing,
Mhm.
but like the drama and all the actors are fantastic. They're really funny and like amazing actresses. So it was really good to watch the first season. The second season is so heavy and dark already. I'm like, whoa, we are 2 episodes in and it's just like really intense. So I don't know where we're going from here because there was like a balance of like comedy to drama that was involved in that show last season. And this season, it just feels like it's gonna be like drama.
All
I don't know.
drama all the time.
Yeah, dark, dark, dark stuff. Maybe it'll lighten up later, but for right now, it's just like heavy. So that was kind of shocking. I was like, oh, okay. I did not know that we were in for this, but it's still good though. I'm still like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? So that's yeah. I will still be watching, but yeah, it's different this time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is it from us this week. We hope that you are all doing well and taking care of yourselves. Please make sure to check out all of our social media, support us if you can, and we will see you guys in the next episode.
Au revoir.